Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. And today, it has been announced by Latvia that they are sending all of their Stinger air defense missile systems to Ukraine. So, again, Latvia will send all of its air defense systems to support Ukraine. So I'm sure Latvia is very confident that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization would come to its rescue in case of a dispute were to arise between Russia and Latvia. Interesting. Also making news in the conflict is Spain has delivered 6 Leopard 2A4s to the Ukrainians, with 4 more that will follow up. So essentially you have 1 platoon, possibly 2 platoons, depending on how you're using it in your force construct. Not a major contribution, but a contribution nonetheless. To the Ukrainians. And then again, we continue to see the request by Ukraine for the F-16. We continue to see talk about the possibility that Ukraine would somehow become a member of NATO. I'm not certain how that would work, how a country becomes an alliance member with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization while in war. That's never been done before. So it'll be interesting to see how they finagle that. Because obviously, if Ukraine becomes a member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, then that would mean that NATO would then have to come to the support of Ukraine, be it's now a member of NATO, through magical means. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, we're continuing to watch what is happening in Bakhmut as well. And if you look at mainstream media excerpts about what is happening, it's really kind of getting quiet now in terms of they're just not talking about Bakhmut. But if we go in and we look, we'll go over to the deep state map, and you can see the area that the Ukrainians allegedly control in the western portions of the city, this area here. Well, this is about a 1.8 by 1.8 area, a 1.8 by 1.8 kilometer area. An incredibly small area to defend. And then you have Russian forces to the north, you have Russian forces to the south, you have Russian forces to, obviously, to the east as well. And then even if you go further beyond, you have more Russian forces further to the west of Bakhmut as well. And then if you look at the alleged Ukrainian force construct in Bakhmut, and it becomes even more interesting. And I have to question this map. I just, you be the judge as a viewer. So what they're saying in this map, in this 1.8 by 1.8 kilometer box, you essentially have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Ukrainian brigades, 2, 3 Ukrainian regiments, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Ukrainian battalions. So there could be elements of these forces in this box. It could be more. It could be. I highly doubt it's more. In all probability, it's much less. There's probably Well, it's difficult to say, but I do know this. I do know that it's been very difficult for the Ukrainian forces to get those forces out of Bakhmut. And now, given the size of this pocket where the Ukrainians are, again, this is not going to end well unless the Ukrainians launch some sort of major counterattack in this area and are looking to relieve those forces. I mean, it's possible. I mean, we've been talking about the possibility of this Ukrainian offensive operation taking place down south in Zaporizhia Oblast, but it is possible that they'll actually divert forces to the east and look to retake Bakhmut, look to attack and encircle Russian forces near Soledar. It's possible. Is it likely? I would say not. I think we're just seeing the culmination of an ongoing battle that is essentially about to end, and we're continuing to hear about the change in Russian strategy. On one hand, you hear about these alleged Russian human wave attacks that are taking place in Bakhmut. And then ultimately you hear about a heroic Ukrainian unit that fights to the last man, and ultimately they're defeated and they lose their position, and they claim to have killed 10 times the amount of Russians for their own losses. Then at the same time, you hear about the Ukrainians talking about new Russian strategy, such as the use of glide bombs, the use of GLONASS guided bombs, Russian version of GPS, the use of long-range missile attacks, and really it's Air Force and long-range artillery firepower against a lot of these frontline positions. And that's why the Ukrainians are asking for F-16s. That's why, in reality, the Ukrainians would like a full-on NATO intervention where the North Atlantic Treaty Organization in the United States declares a no-fly zone. Ultimately, I think that is what Kiev is looking for. Some sort of early NATO membership, and then the use of Western air power to negate what is happening on the battlefield right now. And a lot of these Ukrainian units, again, they're in static positions along the front line, and they're just getting pounded by Russian air assets and Russian artillery assets. It's not a happy place to be. Now, obviously, we continue to hear about these buildups, and we can see it on this map. I don't believe this content provider who's creating this map knows where these specific units are. He is indicating that there are these units that could be in the preparatory phase of some sort of large-scale offensive operation. And again, you're at least to his count is essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 plus Ukrainian brigades, possibly more. But where that attack is going to happen, if that attack is going to happen, difficult to say at this point. Difficult to say. Very difficult. But again, that's kind of where we set for today. I imagine things are wrapping itself up in Bakhmut. I just don't think the situation can remain. And in all likelihood, you'll see a fairly large-scale surrender of Ukrainian forces in this area. How many are actually there? I believe they've been trying to get them out over the course of several weeks. They're just trapped in there, and there's not much they can do other than get some supplies in and some troops out as this news continues to tighten. And if we look at if we go back to the deep state map, and we look at what has happened over the course of the last month, and we'll go back to March 3rd, you can kind of see it yourself. And that's as far back as it'll let me go. Well, no, it's going all the way back. And we're almost there. And you can see what has happened over that time period. And again, watch this. And it tightens and tightens and tightens. And I think around prior to March 1st is when they were trying to make the decision, should we get these forces out of here? And I think a political decision was made in which they essentially probably sacrificed large amounts of Ukrainian forces to keep, to claim that Bakhmut was still under Ukrainian control. And it's not. The Russians have Bakhmut. And now there is upwards to 3 to 5 Ukrainian brigades, maybe 2 actual Ukrainian brigades, trapped in this area. That's what it looks like to me. And I think we're just seeing propagandized narratives to try and explain or rationalize a tactical mistake. Was it a strategic mistake? Maybe not. Probably more like a tactical mistake to keep those forces there instead of pulling them back. I think the United States was trying to tell the Ukrainians, hey, look, you need to back your forces out of there. They're going to get trapped. And here we sit. Ukrainian forces trapped in Bakhmut. But that's where we are for today. We'll continue to monitor, report. Thanks for joining us. More to come very, very soon. Oh, and as always, have a good day.